motto is try to keep it as light as you can.
If you could take a few, that'd be great.
Everyone scream face, you're scared.
Well, you had a sixth sense. 1, 2, 3. Thanks, guys. Thanks.
That's great. Come on, guys.
They also glow in the dark. Pretty cool, pretty cool, pretty cool. As they say, the early bird gets the worm. Make sure you come join us right here tonight. And don't bring, don't bring.
One thing back there, they went above and beyond. Each bag is based on what the whole thing.
I gotta pick this thing up. Hold on.
I've seen his work and it's terrifying. However, being in it was extraordinary. It was, and really I wanted to do it so much because I wanted to work with Nick. He's a fine filmmaker, really wonderful to work with. The experience of filming it was quite buoyant. You know, when you're doing something so dark, I think you've got no choice but to completely delve into it. And I love occupying that space mentally. And then afterwards, it is just like, right, fag and a cup of tea and a biscuit, because I need a moment not to be in that headspace anymore. So we actually laughed a lot as well when Nick wasn't trying to drown me or, you know, do other things.
Being in a movie that has dramatic stakes is already sort of disturbing and weird. Being in a horror movie with those stakes was a new kind of disturbing that I really enjoyed being in, even if I would be too terrified as an audience member to witness it. I had a similar experience in ADR. You know, I hadn't seen you in a while, and it was the first time I was seeing clips of the movie, and Nick was in LA on my headphones, and I was kind of like, cool brain, Nick. Wow, you okay? It's just the most disturbing thing I've ever seen. I play Nina. She's 5 months pregnant with Peter's baby. And it's an interesting thing also how motherhood is depicted in my and John Cho's storyline, where I'm sort of, I think it's rare that you see the woman, especially the woman who's pregnant, struggle with whether or not how she feels about becoming a mother, and he's so sure about it.
The thing that fascinates me about this character and about the storyline is the mythology that evil knows no boundaries, and that it infects people on all different levels in all different ways, and there's not that much you can really do to protect yourself except keep on moving forward. And the character Faith I play is actually a very lovely woman who becomes infected, and it does terrible things to her, which I guess I could hear the soundtrack, I couldn't see the imagery, but I think it's a very powerful experience for everybody because you enter this mythology and you can't get out until the end of the movie. The sweat, your heart rate, all the elements of adrenaline, the fear, fight or flight aspect of our lives comes into full play, even though you're pretending, you're not pretending. So it's a very exciting process in that way. What's exciting for me about playing characters where you go into the depth of your own personal fear is that something, especially in film, that everybody can experience together. And I always love the idea of especially seeing a film in a theater where all these strangers are all sitting having their own personal experience with the fear you as the actor are experiencing on screen. And everybody, there's that sort of that collaborative scream that literally comes out of everybody at the same time in a sort of togetherness with strangers who are all having the similar experience. Fear can be both physical, obviously, if you're physically harmed, but the psychological aspect, I think, of what you created with this movie, and especially I felt that with my character, who again you meet as this kind person, and what happens, the deterioration, which is, I think, both physical and psychological. So I think you really hit a home run in both of the directions. I'm just excited about the storyline. I'm excited to have Nick's work be seen. I have to say this, I told him I think he's the Salvador Dali of filmmaking, because he takes familiar imagery, and in this case a lot of female familiar imagery, and turns it on its head and makes it into different, he juxtaposes it in a way that makes you feel something new and different. So I think people are going to expect something particular, and they're going to get something even more exceptional than what they're expecting with this film. Thanks to our director, who is as willing to let you imagine as he's able to imagine. Some really exciting things happened, and you always have to clear it with the director. But fortunately, we were on the same page, and it was a very scary role to play. It really, really was.
The cool thing about all the Grudge movies is that every movie is like a tapestry of all these different families' stories all surrounding this curse. And now we have an opportunity to like really lean into that deeper character study stuff that audiences like so much, and we wanted to explore more of. So there's definitely like a deeper human character narrative in the movie. This isn't a remake or a reboot in the traditional sense of the word, in that we're not like rehashing the same stories that you've seen before. But it was about finding those key elements that are just how the Grudge expresses itself. As Sam was saying before, so much of this movie is about the fact that this can happen anywhere, and it happens everywhere, and this thing can spread like wildfire. So having certain touchstones was important, and figuring out, you know, obviously with a franchise movie, we don't want to like throw everything out. There's certain stuff that like is just fun for the fans to see again, but in a new context with a new spin. So, you know, there's things like The Hand, and there's certain homage, there's odes to J-horror and the old films in there, both visually and stylistically. And I think the thing that we tried to stay true to was the beauty of the original Ghosts is that they're not these like ethereal, wispy, see-through images. They are people that are standing there. They are physical beings, and that to me is so much scarier. If you're a fan of the earliest Japanese movies like Ju-on the Curse 1 and 2 and those like early straight-to-video movies, there's a charm to like how grounded they were because of like the production restraints, and that always really stuck with me. So it's stylistically, I would say, it's it owes a lot to those early Ju-on films. And then I think that we've just kind of infused like a threshold of hardcoreness that wasn't there before. It's a very serious movie with a lot of dark subject matter, and it's really intense. Their performances are stellar. Everyone in it is stellar. And as much as, yeah, we've pulled from the old movies, I think it's very, very, very different than what most people are expecting, and I'm excited to finally put it out so that people can stop expecting and start seeing.
I think every culture believes that when somebody dies, usually somebody quite angry, there's some kind of energy left over. And that's the basis of our mythology, is that when someone dies in the grip of a terrible rage, you know, something dark is there and it won't let go. What's really new is, one, the Grudge has emigrated to America. He's really a visionary director, so that's why it's time. Plus, he can now make it with an R rating. He can let this spirit really scare the audience. You know, there's no censors stopping him. He can really show that the Grudge is in the hands of a madman. When you hear these actresses talk about their roles and what they put into them, it makes it very exciting, especially to watch a horror film with actors of this caliber, it really is an elevating thing. So to inject it with new life through great performances and talented visionaries, not just the actors, but the director, somebody that loves the original, I think, but understands you have to destroy the original and move on and recreate it in a brand new way while paying tribute to it and nodding to the audience, but really finding new ground. I think that's what Nicholas did with this film. I'm excited to see if the audience will rise to the challenge, which I think they will, of what Nick and the group here has put together. It's not really laid out like a simple horror film. It is a challenging puzzle for the audience to really put together, and it's something that's not complete unless they've listened to everything, made some choices about how they think things would work, and not really finished until the very end.
Sam had wanted to make an R-rated version of The Grudge for a long time, and this is its incarnation. There's something very gritty and real about the way that Nick's made the film that I think is just going to be utterly terrifying.
I've never been to New York Comic Con before. I'm so excited, and I'm here to talk about The Grudge coming out January 3rd. It's that much gorier, scarier, and I think what the franchise really deserves is to have the story told that terrifyingly, because it's terrifying.
I'm excited to be in Comic-Con. Here we are in New York City, my favorite city in the world, literally. Sam Raimi is one of our masters of horror. He understands what fear is. He understands how to express it visually and auditorily, if that's a word, to scare the pants off of you.
We're here at New York Comic Con. We just did our panel, me, some of the actors, Sam Raimi. We're really excited to bring everyone this R-rated Grudge. I was actually here 6 years ago in the audience watching the panel for Sam's Evil Dead remake, and I was just an audience member dreaming of making movies, and now, years later, here I am, which is super, super cool, and yeah, just very excited to bring this new Grudge to everyone. We have an awesome cast, Lin Shaye, John Cho, Andrea Riseborough, Frankie Faison, Jackie Weaver, Betty Gilpin, Bill Sadler, Damian Bashir. It's like a big, great cast. It was super important to me just to get great actors in these roles. They're, like I said before, it's such a character-driven piece that having just great actors bringing all these characters to life just makes the movie that much better and a pleasure for me to get to direct. The R rating afforded us the opportunity to go bigger, louder, gorier with the scares, but also allowed us to be more intense with the subject matter outside of the scares. So, you know, the R rating just kind of gives us the freedom to do not whatever we want, but a wider breadth of possibilities and kind of raise the octane level of the movie.